What is going on, everybody? Hey, this is your boy JC from JC Sports Talk, and I'm with my co-host King DV and a special guest on tonight episode. King, what is going on, King? Before we introduce our guest,
I can't call it, man. I'm just ready for this playoff game, man. You know, I've been excited since it was announced that we'd be playing at 8:15. So I am excited about this game, man. But we do got a special guest. I just don't want to, talk too much. Let him introduce himself for the people that don't know.
Absolutely. Chris, my friend, how are you doing, man? Hey, let the people know a little bit about you since, if they've been under a rock, the past year I had you on this channel. Let them know a little bit about you, please.
Yeah, Chris McPherson here, senior manager of digital media for the Eagles. Been around the team for about 20 years at this point. First year full-time with the organization was the 2004 season, but interned for several years before that. So I've been through the highs, the lows. It's been a phenomenal ride, and we can't wait to get this thing going on Saturday night against the New York Giants. That the intro music was like, it was like ominous, like it was like, it's like truly like a showdown is about to happen. And, I just go back to some of the great playoff battles against the Giants, during my time around the team. You go back to that 2008 season when the Giants were the defending Super Bowl champions. They were the number one seed. And the Eagles go up to the Meadowlands. Donovan McNabb, Asante Samuel, Brent Selleck, and Jerry Maclin. They stunned the Giants. One of my favorite moments was Donovan McNabb. He had that long run. He goes out of bounds, and he picks up the phone. I don't know if you remember. He picked up like the phone, the coach's phone on the sideline, kind of like, y'all need to get some help to stop us here. So, you could go back a couple years before that, 2006 season. It was the David Akers walk-off to beat them.
Yes.
So there's been some classic battles over the years between the Eagles and the Giants. The Eagles have had the upper hand of this series of late, and we'll see what happens on Saturday night. So, but, to me, it's the best scenario for the Eagles. Okay, once Seattle got wiped out, they lost to San Francisco. You say, all right, well, what could happen here? You could get the Giants, you could get the Tampa Bay, Dallas winner. What would you want here? And it sets up to me perfectly where first you get the Giants. Okay, they impressive win, go to Minnesota. They get to come here, and the possibility, I'll as the fan in me will dream a little bit, here. We got a lot of business to take care of, but let me have a moment here to just think about the following Sunday, the possibility of a chance to go to the Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys coming to it. So, but again, this is going to be a very, very tough matchup. I know we're going to break it all down here. So the Giants, again, a huge win, their most impressive performance of the season. Some people might say Minnesota, some of the metrics were a little sketchy, even though they had the great record, were they really as good as I said they were? But still, no, they had an outstanding season. They had the home field in that game, and just not able to get it done. Just an outstanding balanced offensive attack led by Daniel Jones, and the defense was able to swarm. That there's a lot to get into. I don't want to just say it all. No, looking forward to chatting with you guys, chopping up in the preview in this big matchup.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, shout out to everybody that's in the chat, man. Where you hiding? Joseph, Philly, Green Queen. She's actually a Packers fan, but we are so good, Chris. We converted her to become an Eagles fan. So shout out to her for rocking the Eagles green. Hey, we're constantly recruiting over here. It's all good. But yeah, we definitely gonna get into it. But before we do get into it, the injury report came out. Of course, a lot of it looked like a lot of rest to me as far as the injury report go, but the DNPs, Avonte Maddox and Brandon Graham, illness. But as far as health, the Eagles, how healthy is this Eagles team really going into this matchup against the Giants this upcoming Saturday?
Wait. JC, King, whoever had the graphic, put it back up for a second. Put it back up for a second there. All right. Wait, I'm going to go down the list. There's a name that's missing on there. There's a name I don't see. He wears
Jalen Hurts.
1. He plays quarterback.
Jalen Hurts.
As long as he ain't on that injury report, all right, they're good to go. That's the biggest thing is that today exactly to the day that he suffered a month ago, he suffered the shoulder injury in that win over the Chicago Bears. The fact that he's not even on the injury report, just bodes that much better, that much more optimism for this team going into it, where the Giants might be thinking to themselves, all right, maybe we're going to get a 50% Jalen Hurts, or maybe he's not going to be all that much better than what we saw in Week 18. Nah, you're going to get the full package. And the fact is, we haven't seen that in a month. So I think fans forget just how special his 2022 regular season was, just how damn good he was to watch on a week in, week out basis. No matter what the Giants or what any team has thrown at him, Jalen Hurts has found ways to beat teams all season long. So overall, from the health standpoint, obviously, number one, I think the one key injury you see there is Avonte Maddox. If he's not able to go, look, you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson tied for the league in interceptions this season. Going back to, you could say, his natural spot. Okay, the Eagles traded for him to make him a deep safety alongside Marcus Epps, but he has that versatility where he played the slot in those first 3 years with New Orleans, and I think he's Coach defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon actually spoke today about what was that conversation like about going up to CJ saying, hey, we need you to change roles, and CJ's like, I want to win. Let's be real. You're not asking me to play quarterback. You're not asking me to play offensive line. You're asking me to do what I did at a very high level for the last 3 years with the Saints. Let's go make it happen. And I was a little surprised that we saw that in Week 18, because I figure there was a good chance on both sides you might be seeing each other in a couple of weeks. Do you really want to show your cards? But I think the Eagles did need just to get him some reps to make sure that he felt good there. So I think, obviously, it'd be great if you have Avonte Maddox and your full complement of weapons there. But the fact you have someone like C.J. Gardner-Johnson to be able to slide in there, and Reed Blankenship playing as well as he has on the back end as a rookie, an undrafted free agent from Middle Tennessee State. We're not talking like SEC or Big Ten or any of those big-time schools. We're talking Middle Tennessee State, and he's the one who's going to be starting there alongside most likely Marcus Epps. So I think it's a credit to the coaching staff for what they've done with this team, a credit to the leaders in there. But when you're looking at an injury list, that obviously is the biggest one. Brandon Graham with the illness should be fine for Saturday night. Everyone else has been, limited, full participant. They're going to be good to go unless they came out worse for wear today. Should be good for Saturday night.
All right, so real quick, Lane Johnson, right? He came out last week. He was on the Pat McAfee show, whatever, and he said something that I was shocked. I was actually listening to him, and he said that he never had an abdominal issue. It was his groin. So this misinformation keep coming out the Philadelphia Eagles locker room. I don't know why. But how risky is that? Yes, it's not a stomach issue no more. It's his groin. I mean, do you feel like that he should actually start this game? Most likely, I don't think he will finish, but I don't know, because a groin issue, especially going against a Kayvon Thibodeau, a very aggressive, fast edge rusher. So with that injury, what is your thought on Lane Johnson injury, and how big is it?
JC. We're going to fast forward to about a month from now, okay? Let's go Dreamland. Eagles win the Super Bowl. Next day, you and King are playing your Showdown Podcast, okay? We're going to break it all down, all angles, how great it is. We'll do it live from Broad Street by the poles that are all greased up. People trying to slide down, all that stuff and whatnot. Everyone's partying, celebrating. You all of a sudden don't feel well. You got a little laryngitis. The throat's been going in and out. And and then Mrs. Birdgang is like, "Oh, I'll host. Me and King, we'll do the show." And you're like, "Nah, we're good." Nah. Would you wouldn't let that happen? You're not gonna step aside.
No, pushing through it.
The show. You're pushing through it. Okay. Yes. I think Lane Johnson realizes the opportunity that this team has, and
Yeah.
is going to be out there to battle with his guys. He could have had surgery. He could have done whatever to, get this taken care of. But no, he wants to. This is who Lane Johnson is. Okay, with everything he's battled over the years, he's not going to miss it. Now, once you get out there, could something happen? Obviously, that's why it'll be interesting to see tomorrow. Okay, today was really the important day for Lane Johnson because it was going to be full set of reps. It was going to be game-like atmosphere. We're going to find out. This is going to be the closest that you're going to get to a game situation. If tomorrow all of a sudden something's acting up, there might be some question marks. But as long as he gets through, comes through today, feels good coming out of the practice today, all sides should point forward that, look, he's going to go out there and something can happen regardless. Something can happen during the course of the game. It doesn't even have to be the re-aggravation or the injury acted up. Something else could transpire. But to me, he's just been the class of arguably almost, he and Kelsey have been the class of arguably all offensive linemen in the league this season.
Facts.
I mean, Lane Johnson didn't give up a sack. He didn't give up a quarterback hit all year. All the advanced metrics from Pro Football Focus, put him pretty much at the top of the class. You are watching, and this is something that's tough to appreciate. I go back to training camp, okay? I'm going to jump a little bit around here. Go back to training camp, and Eagles signed Hassan Reddick, okay? Hassan Reddick, big ticket free agent, going to upgrade the pass rush. Pass rush wasn't what it needed to be. I think 29 total sacks. They needed to, that edge rushing linebacker. They needed that presence to be able to affect the quarterback. So you get Hassan Reddick. He comes home. It's a feel-good story. You get to training camp, and Lane Johnson, day in and day out, was winning those battles to the point where you're saying to yourself, is Hassan going to be able to play? Or is are we going to be okay? Is this pass rush going to be improved? And we've seen what Hassan Reddick did this season, 16 sacks. He led the league in the first player to create the sack, the franchise record, 70 sacks. I mean, I feel like over the last, month, 6 games or so, obviously he got Defensive Player of the Month, but you just felt like every game, every week, Fran Duffy and I, we select the nominees we do a promotion, the Toyota Player of the Week, okay? And we have actually the Player of the Year, contest going on right now. We have it on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, our social media channels if you want more info. But every game day, Fran and I, we are talking back and forth during the game. Who should it be? Who should it be? And I felt like every week I was like Reddick was like the first choice, at least if I was going with a defensive guy, it was like Reddick. Okay. Yeah. The fact that Lane was the one keeping him at bay in training camp just shows how darn good he is, how important he is to the offense. So, Lane's going to go out there. He's going to give it his all, and we'll see what happens. But to me, it's not a situation you start Driscoll and then this is the playoffs. Okay, we know how finicky, how tight these results are. Okay, everyone may say, look back to what the Eagles did when they were at full health against the Giants week 14. No, guys, new season. It's win or go home. You want your best out there. You want to go down swinging with your best fighters. And Lane Johnson is in a class all by himself.
King, what was your question? Go ahead. I know you had a question regarding that first matchup.
The first matchup. We did have some injuries during the first matchup, but we did prevail. I was going to wait until we got to the Giants topic, but do you think that running the ball against this newfound confidence in the Giants, do you think that would prevail us to victory, or do you think that we need to mix it up a little bit more on offense?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, you look at the numbers and you say to yourself, okay, running the ball certainly would help, both from an advantageous standpoint for how good the Eagles are at running the ball and how the Giants have been at stopping. The other thing, when you look back to that first matchup, the Giants didn't have guys like Leonard Williams up front. They didn't have Adoree Jackson at cornerback. They didn't have Xavier McKinney on the back end at safety. They were missing a lot of those guys. So the early part of this game is going to be fascinating because you look at the Giants defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, and he has been known to blitz, and blitz some more, okay? Go back to that Week 14 matchup. Again, Eagles won it 48-22. Wink Martindale blitzed Jalen Hurts on 52% of the pass plays.
Mhm.
Okay. He said, we don't think that Jalen Hurts can win the game if you're blitzing him. Let's find out how good he is. Let's test how good he is against the blitz. And Jalen Hurts threw for like 217, ran for 77, had like 2 or 3 total touchdowns. He was outstanding in that game. He was able to beat the blitz. Go to last week's game between the Giants and the Vikings. All season long, Martindale's MO has been the blitz, okay? Most blitz frequent team against the pass all season long. I think it was like 48% of pass plays that Giants blitzed. This past Sunday or Saturday, it was only 22% or so, okay? Nearly like less than half of what he did during the season. So do you say to yourself, is that because I've got all my horses back, that the Giants are close to full strength, that they, especially in the secondary, because remember, you have guys like Nick McLeod out there getting beat, one-on-one by A.J. Brown. All right,
Yeah.
Nick McLeod might still be playing snaps for you, but he's not as urgent. You don't need to have him out there as much. So are you saying I've got better personnel on the back end? I'm going to make sure I, take away the offensive weapons. We're making sure that we're going to make sure Justin Jefferson ain't going for 150 and 2 touchdowns. Okay,
Right.
T.J. Hawkinson got his. All right, fine and good. As long as Justin Jefferson doesn't go off, we're good. Or Wake Martindale said, I'm going to go back to me being me and see what Jalen Hurts can do, especially the fact that Jalen Hurts has only played in one game over the last month, and he wasn't his full 100% self in that game, and see what exactly he's going to do. But that's the thing is the Eagles are so efficient in both ways. Jalen Hurts has won in every single way. He's won throwing the football. He's won by running the football. He will do what it has to take to win the football game. So ultimately, I can't say exactly what the best way is going to be in terms of if it's going to be, the run game, the pass game. You look at the numbers and you say to yourself, all right, they would be most efficient probably at running, and the Eagles are very good at doing that. But they have the weapons in A.J. Brown, who's been to the playoffs several times, Devontae, who's getting that second crack at it. Dallas Goedert did not play in that first Giants matchup.
Right.
He did not.
The Eagles were at 48 points, the most ever on the road against the New York Giants in the all-time series, dating back to the 30s, without Dallas Goedert on the field. Him and those tight end screens, man, I cannot wait to see those unleashed, especially considering that you saw what T.J. Hawkinson did last week for the Vikings.
And that's where I was
And also, CJ didn't even play that game. Also, Chauncey Gardner was out that game.
No.
So on both sides, the Giants had some key pieces missing on defense. We had, one on offense, one on defense. So, is this matchup going to be closer to Week 18? How much stock are you putting into the Week 18 matchup? When people saying, "Oh my God, the Giants had their nice strings out there, and the Eagles barely beat them." So, how much stock or any are you putting into that Week 18 matchup, or do you feel like it was just, hey, just go get some reps? Let's lock in the number 1 seed. Let's keep everything bare minimum vanilla as possible because we might get a chance to see them.
How much stock am I putting in? JC, how many touchdowns did I score this season?
0.
None. Thank you. Okay. You got me excited. Like, did I score a touchdown this season?
Well, I bet you did, but no.
No, the MO was, okay, we know that Jalen Hurts is not 100%. We know that the run game element is not going to be, especially in the red zone. That's where the Eagles struggled in that Week 18 game, was they were not able to get touchdowns in the red zone, something they were so good at all season long, largely because you didn't have the quarterback run element. That wasn't there for you. The Eagles did what they had to do to win the game. Okay, it wasn't pretty. Okay, the Giants, look, Davis Webb was really gutty and fought hard and gave him the chance there. He was so elusive. It was they were not able to be able to sack him pretty much the whole game. All right, that's all fine and dandy. Okay, but this is going to be a different beast here. And I don't even take really much stock, quite honestly, in the first matchup. Okay, because people might say, "Oh, when the Eagles were at full strength, they whomped them by 26 points." I'm not going there either. Okay, this is a whole new season, this is a 1-game win or go home. The Giants are feeling high. Okay, they're feeling red hot because they're coming off their best performance. But at the same time, though, It's not like the Giants were like super red hot coming into the playoffs. It's not like this is, the San Francisco 49ers that won, like 8, 9, 10 games, whatever it was. Look, all right,
Right.
look at this here. Okay, I'll take out that Week 18 game. I'll take that out.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants were still 2-4-1 in their last 7 games.
Right.
And they had a great start to the season. Dable did a phenomenal job. And at about midpoint, pretty much when they were getting ready for that first match of Week 14, I said I thought the Giants pretty much maximized what they could do, but they were dealing with injuries at the time. It just didn't seem like they were going to have enough horses in the stable to get the job done. Credit to them for battling through and finding a way to make the playoffs. And look, It was a great matchup on the road against the Vikings. They were taking care of business. It was their best performance of the year. Daniel Jones looked legit. Saquon's finally, fully healthy. Saquon was not healthy that first game. Go back to Week 14, he played, but he essentially was on a pitch count because I think they knew we may not beat the Eagles, but we play the Commanders, and we got to beat the Commanders. So if we need to kind of curtail Saquon Barkley's reps to be able to make sure he's fresh for that game, because we need that game. We would like to have the Eagles game, but we need to have that game against the Commanders. They made sure that he was fresh for that game. Pretty much once the game got out of hand in that first half, Saquon was on the sideline. And he was even in the beginning of the game rotating in. That's not going to be the case right here.
Yeah, King, you have anything?
Man, I agree. I think that, I said it on here, that I think that Saquon was injured to the point where he's not being himself. The Week 18 game, I feel like that that game didn't really show anything on both sides. I really think that we got to see the Giants' full potential in that Vikings game. But I know that we're not the Vikings. I know what kind of defense that we play. I know what kind of players that we have, that we will be able to not give Daniel Jones that much time. I know that Saquon Barkley is at full strength now because, he had time to rest, time to heal, especially Week 18 gave them the opportunity to have a bye week, the starters for the Giants. We had the bye week, so that helped us out. So we're basically getting both teams. Yes, we're a little banged up, but we are getting their best efforts, to say the least, away and home. And I think that the Eagles is just more talented. I think that the Eagles are just, it's going to come down to a game of coaching. I think that's what it's going to come down to. Brian Dable versus Nick Sirianni, or even Jonathan Gannon or Shane Steichen. I think that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. Not so much if the player's going to execute, because throughout the game, I think that they will be able to, pull it together. I went to the Saints game and I've seen, for the worst first half of the Eagles season, but also in the second half, when they got the ball back, they were, moving the ball down the field. So I've seen the efforts from the team, but I think it's going to come down to coaching at the end of the day, because, right now, they're basically saying Brian Dable is in a lead to win the Coach of the Year, and we're going to get on that. But that's just my take on everything.
So, Chris, how surprised were you against the Vikings? Daniel Jones was the leading rusher. He rushed the ball 17 times for 78 yards. Saquon Barkley, he's healthy, but he still only rushed the ball 9 times for 53 yards. Were you surprised by that game plan, or it was just because the Vikings wasn't I guess they played a couple weeks before that, and the Vikings, they said that they saw something, that the Vikings was leaving the quarterback open to running the ball. So, do you think the Eagles, that was a mistake by the Giants? A win is a win. They put a lot of stuff out there for the Eagles to consider. So, were you surprised that Daniel Jones ran the ball that much during the Vikings game? And how is that going to translate into this upcoming matchup versus the Eagles?
No, I wasn't. I think you also have to consider Saquon Barkley helping open up those run lanes, not just with his running ability, but his effectiveness in the pass game. Okay, because I think he had 5 receptions, 50 yards. Very, very good in that element. And we've seen over the years how Daniel Jones can run the football. I think we've seen that video of him where he's about to get the touchdown, he's rumbling, he's stumbling, and just his legs, whatever. Tripped on air. The Lake Monster came out and grabbed him, and he wasn't able to score.
Right.
But he is very athletic. Okay, I think it is a sneaky athleticism to him, and that's something that is going to have to be part of the Eagles' defensive game plan is maintaining the discipline in the rush lanes. You can't just rushing up the field and then all of a sudden, you lose contain, and all right, Daniel Jones can slip out the backside. Some of these runs, are almost going to be like one read. If it ain't there, boom, he's going to be taken off. So. I think the Eagles are well aware of that. Okay, it's not going to be a surprise to them. The biggest key is they just need to keep them contained because, again, you look at the Eagles secondary, and a huge part of the Eagles pass rush this season has been the play of the secondary, of the play of Big Play Slay, of James Bradbury, and all the guys back there for being able to hold up in coverage so that the pass rush can get home. Okay. The Eagles get 70 sacks, and again, Hassan Reddick is phenomenal. Javon Hargrave should have been Pro Bowl or All Pro and got screwed in that regard. But nonetheless, though, okay, you see all the guys, four guys with double-digit sacks. You have Milton. Look, Milton Williams has been an X factor for this team. He's provided quality reps off the bench here. That's been kind of going under the radar because you have all these names that are getting the big splash plays. But nonetheless, though, that doesn't happen if you don't have good coverage on the back end to help hold things up. So, the big thing is going to be just keeping Daniel Jones at bay and not allowing him to run wild to open up everything else.
Yeah. So who would you put as a spot against Daniel Jones if you are running a spot? If you're Jonathan Gannon, you saw what what Daniel Jones did against the Vikings. Are you putting a spot on Daniel Jones, or are you just going to run your regular, your same defense that you ran the past two times you played him?
Yeah, you probably run the same defense, but I mean, I'm going to look at a guy like T.J. Edwards, who is so instinctual, always around the football. Kaiser White has been a great addition to his team this season, but T.J. Edwards has been the 3-down linebacker regardless of the defensive package. You go nickel, you go dime. He's been the guy that's been out there on the field, and from a leadership standpoint, to the fact that he knows where to be with the football. Okay, he's not the most athletic guy out there, but he has the football IQ and savvy that makes sure. I just again think back to those times back in July and August during training camp, and you just watch T.J. Edwards, and like every day he's making a play on the ball in practice. And those, linebacker, safety, those can be sometimes the toughest positions to evaluate when you're just watching it live because you need to have context in terms of the responsibilities. But when you see a guy who's around the ball each and every single day, time after time again, something's going on, especially coming from the linebacker position. So to me, T.J. Edwards, who had an outstanding regular season, is more than well equipped. But across the board, the Eagles, they have a high amount of respect for Daniel Jones. James Bradbury was talking in the locker room today about, even though he was there when the Giants were struggling and Daniel Jones was kind of, people were wondering if he was going to be the guy. They could see him behind the scenes making the improvements, putting in the work, putting in the effort, wanting to improve his play. They're not surprised that he's gotten to this point. He's had a great coach, a great offensive staff that have kind of brought out the best out of him. Saquon has been a nice compliment. They've added some pieces to the offensive line. So, again, Daniel Jones coming off a well-executed, outstanding performance. The playoff moment wasn't too big for him in his first onset, but it's going to be a much different challenge going on the road to Philadelphia, a team that knows him oh so well.
All right. So before, go ahead, King.
So I do have a question. So basically, like I said, I'm just going to throw my questions in as we're talking to try to make it fluid. But how big do you think Hodges will be in their game plan? He had a huge game against the Vikings, and I know our secondary is way better than the Vikings. But I want to know, how do you think that they would try to have him ready to go against either James Bradbury or Darius Slay? I don't think he's really much in the slot as much as Slayton. But, I want to know your thoughts on, how do we prep to stop Hodgins on go route or even in the slant, in the middle, because they've been attacking the middle for a while. So I just want to know your thoughts on who, how do you think, what do you think about that? What you saw from the Giants and Vikings game.
Yeah, I mean, he's a slippery, smooth route runner. And, you look at this Giants offense, and that's going to be the big question. Again, this goes back to, in the big picture, is this team going to have enough horses? You look at that wide receiver group, and, that's something that they're trying to continue to build. Kenny Galladay hasn't been what they expected when they signed him as a big ticket free agent. They've dealt with injuries there. You use a first round pick on a Kadarius Toney, and he's traded in the middle of his second season to show you, just the struggles that they were having there. But they've been trying to find answers. But look, if you have a Daniel Jones who's able to buy time with his legs, someone like Hodgins who stepped up, made some amazing catches in traffic against the Vikings. It's going to be something that they're going to have to contend with. That's the biggest thing is when you get the Giants into, they were so good, so effective in third downs, against the Vikings on Saturday. They were in third and manageable situations throughout the game. A lot of that is you have Daniel Jones and Saquon getting, winning on those early downs to set you up in situations where you don't know if they're going to run or pass. And when you have someone like Jones with that mobility, it's going to make it that much tougher. So he can buy time to give his guys, an extra second to get open. So, that's going to be. But again, you're looking at Slay, who is, been steady all season. Bradbury got the All-Pro nod as 3 interceptions, and you got the former team angle. You can't ignore that. There's certainly going to be, even though they've already played a couple times. There's going to be something in the air that, Bradbury is like, look, I do not want my season to end against the team that I left, the team that dropped me, late in the offseason and left me scrambling. He's happy, he's happy in Philadelphia. He's assimilated well into that defense. It's the great personalities between, Slay, who's a character, C.J. Gardner-Johnson is, outrageous. They
fiery one.
But then you have Bradbury, who's like the steady presence, look, definitely shows a lot more behind the scenes, but still, nonetheless, though, it doesn't have it to the level of Slay or C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So, but those guys, I think, as much as you see the personalities, those bigger personalities, what you don't see is how hard they do work behind the scenes and how. Well, I mean, the huge reason why you have an undrafted rookie free agent playing safety, starting at safety basically for you in a playoff, is because of how those veterans have brought him along, how the coaches have brought him along throughout the course of the season. Credit to Reed for always being ready, because it's one thing to say, my time is coming and I'm going to be prepared for the moment when it comes. It's really, really tough when you're thinking to yourself, I'm basically not going to be playing. I mean, Reed Blankenship was inactive early on.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is a guy who's gone from making the 53, being inactive at the beginning of the season, to all of a sudden now potentially starting in your divisional round playoff game. So going back, King, to your original question, again, as long as the pass rush gets home and keeps Daniel Jones contained, obviously they're going to be trying to work the middle of the field. But the big thing for this Eagles defense, as long as they're not giving up the explosive plays, okay, they're going to try to force the Giants to matriculate down the field to try to earn whatever yards that they get. So, but it'll be interesting to see how can Daniel Jones squeeze the most out of the talent that he has to work with at wide receiver.
Yeah, I like our matchup against their wide receivers versus our DB, especially with Chauncey Gardner in the slot. Man, I was telling everybody, do not put Chauncey back at safety. You have Reed back there that's been playing out of his mind, you know what I mean? So put Chauncey back in his regular position and everything will be fine. And I'm glad that Jonathan Gann did not overthink it. He just put Chauncey in the nickel and they called it a day. And now the defense to me is as close as to complete as you're going to get. I don't think Maddox is going to come. All right, so what's your thought on Maddox? Is he going to, is he out for a complete season, like the playoffs, or what? What is his injury status,
Yeah, I mean, he's not practicing, so until he's back on the practice field, it's hard to gauge. So, but the fact that it's a good sign for the Eagles that at this point he's pretty much the only one who's not practicing. But you want your full complement, and Avonte Maddox brings so much tenaciousness to the defense with his ability to just throw himself around. He's so good in the slot, and again, it gives Jonathan Gannon that flexibility so that if I want Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to be in the slot, I can. If I want him in the deep part, it's just another piece to have to the puzzle there. So not just from, who are the best guys at what spots, but from a depth perspective, because you don't want the domino fall to say, God forbid, someone else gets hurt. Now you're going down the lines, whether it's at safety, whether it's at nickel corner, outside corner, what have you. But these things are going to happen. You got to be prepared. But in terms of a timetable, until he's back on the field, it's really difficult to gauge.
Okay. All right. So do you think that Jalen Hurts would have won the MVP if he didn't get hurt? Even though I think the NFL or the writers did him, I guess they kind of say, hey, he got the nod to be an All-Pro. But do you feel like he would have won the MVP on the pace that he was going, 22 touchdowns at a time, but 13 rushing touchdowns? What is your thought on Jalen Hurts winning the MVP?
How do we know he hasn't won it?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Are we saying that it's already been, I haven't heard an announcement. The NFL honors are not for another couple of weeks.
Okay.
The votes counted. So certainly, I mean, is it going to come against him? It probably will to a little bit of an extent, but still, you have a guy who, accumulated 35 total touchdowns. You look at all the numbers that he put up from passer rating standpoint, the way he took care of the football, the fact that he led the best. Usually it's the best team, the best player on the best team. And, in some ways, we saw that week 18 game against the Giants, what Jalen Hurts is like when he's not at full, his full potential. And it just shows that it's a much different, much more condensed offense. You go back to the week before against the Saints and you wonder, what if they had Jalen Hurts in that lineup? But, the week before against Dallas, that Christmas Eve game, I thought Gardner Minshew balled and was outstanding and did everything he could. Tough, obviously, when you're giving up 40 points on the other side. But nonetheless, though, even though I'm sure a lot of people are probably already thinking by the All-Pro that's going to be, Patrick Mahomes. We'll see when the votes come counting in. But I think, overall, that Jalen Hurts was that guy from the start of the season. You go back to, the home opener was week 2, Monday Night Football, Minnesota Vikings, and Jalen Hurts just carved them up. Okay. Yeah. And then, you get to the midpoint of the season where he got the NFC Offensive Player of the Week award in back-to-back weeks, for the performance he had. It's just like he was putting together an amazing highlight reel week in and week out, whether it was the bombs to AJ and Devontae, whether it was making the big plays with his legs. I mean, I think go back to the Vikings game and how he almost carried like 3 or 4 defenders on his way into the end zone. Just what he was able to do all throughout the course of the season, was just absolutely sensational. He, going to the season, the development of Jalen Hurts was the biggest question facing this football team. And week in and week out, he checked every box with his arm, with his mind, with his legs. I mean, he made such outstanding growth from his first year as a full-time starter to his second here. I just can't wait to see what he's going to do. It was so good for him last year to get that playoff experience, even though it didn't end the way Eagles fans would have wanted to, just to get a taste of what it's like and how the game is going to go up to another level. I mean, it was just absolutely outstanding. So, we haven't seen the votes compiled yet. We'll see what happens in due time. But nonetheless, the last time, the Eagles had a quarterback who should have won MVP, but missed a few games. That season ended okay, so I think Jalen and all Eagles fans would, I think, take that as a consolation prize, if you want to call it
that. Okay, King.
Man, I think that Chris hit everything on the nose. Basically, I think that Jalen Hurts should be MVP of the league. Period. But national media runs certain, persuasive, and they get the votes. They get the vote. I really think that they're not going to make Jalen Hurts MVP because of Patrick Mahomes. I think that they basically saying the addition of AJ Brown, the defense that we have, things like that. They're going to try to persuade a certain way for Jalen Hurts not to get MVP. But Jalen Hurts had to throw AJ Brown the ball. He increased his level of passing that way. That box checked. Also, he basically opened up lanes for Miles Sanders, for Gainwell, for Boston Scott to run through because RPO running, things like that. You got to watch out for Jalen Hurts. Also, just him being a leader that he is, man, he makes people want to play for him. The whole offensive line said basically, hey, we want to block for this guy. When he's not there, when we have a guy like Gardner Minshew behind center, it's almost like we're watching a whole different team. I was at the Saints game, whereas though that Gardner Minshew just looked like he was like not even in sync with the wide receivers, man. I think they only had like one target in the first half, and then they start picking it up after the 11 seconds after the first down. And it's like you got to have guys on your team that's willing to play for you, and Jalen Hurts has that. So he deserves MVP, but I wouldn't be shocked if they say another guy gets it.
I mean, no question. He was 14-1 as a starter. He was 14-1 as a starter, the second youngest quarterback to win 14 games in a regular season in NFL history. The guy who was the youngest was Dan Marino. Pretty good quarterback in his own right. So, yeah, I mean, look, you can make all the cases. Look, I mean, Patrick Mahomes had a phenomenal season of his own, puts up the gaudy numbers and all that stuff. It's a different style, but nonetheless, Jalen Hurts, if you're talking about the most valuable player to me, they're talking about two different things here. The most valuable player, I think we saw, between the Saints game, Week 18 game as the Cowboys, what this Eagles offense was like without Jalen Hurts. Yeah, it's a much different ball game. Not to say you take these other guys, the Josh Allens, Joe Burrows, away from their teams, they're not going to be as good. No question. That's why these teams are elite and still in the running to win the Super Bowl. But I mean, this offense, like you said, King, is just totally different when he's not as capacity. He doesn't have all those elements that he brings to the table.
Right.
All right. So real quick, I know you in a few minutes you have to head out, but real quick, like the Philadelphia Eagles have about 20 free agents this offseason. What are your priorities? Are you paying Jalen Hurts this upcoming season? Are you trying to keep the team solid around him? But what are the Philadelphia Eagles' priorities heading into this offseason? Win or don't win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I think quite honestly, they're going to be the same regardless. And I think it's a great question to have for the offseason. These are the things you're trying to figure out because you got to balance the fact that there are, especially on that defensive side of the ball, there are a lot of guys come up in free agency from, BG's going to be a free agent, Bradbury's a free agent, Kaiser White, TJ Edwards, Hargrave, Cox. There are a number of guys. There's a lot of CJ. Yeah, a lot of guys who, it's going to be a lot to deal with. So you're going to try that balance, knowing that, okay, we're going to need some young guys to take the next step here. We got, some draft capital coming in here. Okay. We've got, 2 first-round picks, including number 10 overall. But I think at this point, they're going to try to figure out what's the best for the short term, to try to be able to keep this team together. Because once you pay the quarterback, and we see this with every team, once you pay the quarterback, it's a different dynamic. It's a much different team building exercise. You've got to rely more on the young players. You've got to get more of that instant impact. So I think it's going to be a balance to see, can they get that? Can they keep the veteran presence around for another year, or do they go that road? So I mean, certainly it's as exciting as this season has been, and how much we can't wait to see where it ends up. Look, it's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of things to watch. Howie Roseman, who had a phenomenal offseason to get this team to where it is now, winning the number 1 seed, winning the division title, getting home field advantage. He's going to have some work to do in this offseason. It ain't going to be, kicking up and saying, all right, we got 2 first round and we're good. No, he's going to have to keep doing his wheeling and dealing. So we'll see how that all transpires. But, yeah, no question. There's going to be a lot of tough decisions. It's kind of funny. You think back to the last time they played the Giants in the playoffs, that 2008 run. That was the end of an era. That was the end of Dawkins. That was the end of Trey. That was the end of John Runyon. There was a lot of guys who, you almost, it was like a transitional period, so to speak. And you've got some all-timers here who are going to have some decision to make. We don't know about Jason Kelsey if he's going to want to come back for another year. Talk about BG being a free agent and Fletcher Cox. These are the guys that won you the Super Bowl. These are the cornerstones. I think there are only – I want to say there's only like 10 or 11 guys still remaining from the Super Bowl team? I forget the exact stat, but I mean, it's insane how quickly, and it's only been 5 years, but how quickly the roster turnover takes place in the NFL. And you have to. I mean, that's the nature of the beast with the salary cap and, with the length of contracts and with the average length of careers overall. You've got to be able to keep, churning things out and keep changing things up. But it's obviously going to be a lot of, tough, sentimental decisions that are going to weigh into what goes on this offseason for the team.
All right. So who's your coach of the year so far? Who should win it?
Well, I mean, you're not going to have me come on and not argue for Sirianni. Let's be real here for a second. But, all right. Well, so who would you say to the other candidates? We have two very good candidates here. Okay. I think Dable's done an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Okay, got his team to the playoffs for the first time since 2016. First time since I think the year they won the Super Bowl 2011 that they're this deep into the playoffs. But I go back to the record I had before, like 2-4-1 down the stretch after a red hot start. Okay, not exactly. Again, look, they dealt with injuries. It was not expected to be a good season for them. Phenomenal year, but you look at what Nick Sirianni has done. This has been the number one team in the league since week one. Okay, they came out. They scored 38 points against the Detroit Lions. Everyone said, well, it was a close game. Look, what the Detroit Lions were, outside the 49ers, probably the hottest team in football. If they made the playoffs, they would have probably made some noise. Okay, that's week one. Then they go week two, Minnesota Vikings. That's going to be huge, undefeated teams. Minnesota's, always in the playoff mix. Boom, they blasted them, blew them out in the home opener at Lincoln Financial Field. Minnesota hangs around pretty much all year, in contention for the number one seed. Now, the Eagles handled their business. They had the bullseye on their back the entire season. Okay. Right. Again, Jalen Hurts, 14-1 as a starter. This is not, this is not the Bucs who are supposed to be elite. This is not the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, the teams. When you talked about the teams at the beginning of the year, that you were like, okay, these are going to be the guys in Super Bowl contention. I don't think too many people in the national media had the Eagles in that conversation. It was all, is Jalen Hurts the guy? Is this team going to improve with Jalen Hurts? I don't think they're thinking this is a team that can win 12, 13, 14 games, most in franchise history. And again, they clinched the one seed. Typically, the coach on the best team gets it. And look, a lot of competition, and we're going to see two of the best this year to do it. But Coach Sirianni has pushed the right buttons all season long, okay? When you're the team that's starting out 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, some of those teams fall. You look at the team last year, the Arizona Cardinals limped into the playoffs. They got dusted, even though they were the team with the best record, that the last undefeated team in the league. They fizzled out. This Eagles team still finished at 14-3, got the number one seed, took care of their business, won a division where three teams. Not only did three teams make the playoffs, three teams are still in the NFC.
Yep.
Or in the NFC East. Okay, so you're winning the hottest division. It's almost like everyone said the NFC East is going to stink again. Look at the AFC West. Look at what it's going to be. They got Russell Wilson. You got Justin Herbert. You got every team's got a top-notch quarterback. That division is going to slug it out, and it was nothing. It wasn't what anyone expected it to be. The Broncos obviously dismissed the head coach. The Raiders fell flat. They didn't make a playoff push. Chargers, the third worst, or give up the third biggest playoff loss, comeback, third biggest playoff comeback. I'll get my words there eventually in league history. The NFC East was legit from the start. Okay. Right. And again, 3 of the 4 teams in the NFC mix are from this division. So, to me, the fact that, again, tied for the most wins. Wasn't expected to be here.
Mhm.
You look at the way he maximized the talent. All the players that took steps forward this year. Another great sign of coaching. They were the best team from the start. Everyone knew that this was a team to beat. They were getting their best week in, week out. Tough division. It's all there for me for Coach Sirianni, who is well deserving to win the award as NFL's Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so this upcoming matchup are a couple more questions, I promise. This upcoming matchup, the Giants look good against the Vikings. What are your concerns heading into this game? And also, give me, in order for the Eagles to beat the Giants, what are some keys to victory?
Look, we've been talking about the coach, okay? You looked at some of the big games, wild card weekend. Miami struggling with getting the play calls in. You looked at questionable time management. We talked about the Chargers blowing a 27-0 lead. These mistakes are magnified in the playoffs. Coach Sirianni, how is he going to handle? Last year it was, I think, much different. It was like, look, this was a 2-5 team that made it to the wild card round. Let's see how they can handle. But they were the underdogs going into that game. They are the favorites. Okay, they are the home team. They are the number one seed. This is a much different element for Coach Sirianni. How will he handle that? One there. Two, obviously, we're going to focus on both of the quarterbacks. And again, we have not seen the full Jalen Hurts experience for a month. Okay, we all miss how good he was throughout the course of the season. How are the Giants going to play him? Are they going to blitz him from the onset? Like I said, we talked about those numbers about how Wink Martindale wants to blitz and blitz and blitz him more. Is that going to be the case? Are they going to test him? They're going to test that shoulder? Or is it going to be, we'll drop back and see what he can do? We know that Jalen Hurts can pick apart a defense if you're going to sit back and let him do so. And on the flip side, Daniel Jones coming off his best game. I mean, look, is it something that he can replicate? Is this a 2 week in a row? A lot of people are all of a sudden looking at the Giants, like, look at what they did against the Vikings. And they, look, again, best performance of the season by them coming at the right time. But again, it's a much different animal here. The other matchup that I want to watch is the interior Eagles offensive line. We talk about Jason Kelsey. You talk about a Pro Bowler in Lane Dickerson, and you talk about Isaac Seumalo going up against Leonard Williams. Dexter Lawrence was a monster in that game on Saturday. That's a heavyweight showdown, worth the price of admission right there. And we've talked about the pass rush. This Giants offensive line, they've been trying to figure out the last couple of seasons. Andrew Thomas, all pro, at left tackle. That's going to be a great battle. Hassan Reddick, talked about the amazing impact that he's had, the 16 sacks. Are they going to be able to replicate that? So, and again, Saquon Barkley to me is the X factor. Was not healthy for the first game, didn't play the second game. He is one of the best backs in the league, no question about it. He's such a unique running style where he's so fast, so athletic, so big, but the way he gets to the edges, the fact he can do damage in the pass game as well. You just don't want to see all of a sudden the Eagles flying upfield and there's a little quick, screen pass, and then Saquon Barkley is running up the sideline for a huge gain. So, but we'll see how that unfolds. But those to me are, I'm watching everything, but if you're talking about zeroing on a couple of things, those are the things I'm looking to see come Saturday night.
I do agree. And what is your score prediction? I mean, I know we ain't no psychic, but if you would put a score, the Eagles are moving on to the NFC Championship at the end of the night. What do you see this game being like?
I'll say this. I think it's going to be a tough, hard-fought game. I do think we're going to get to late fourth quarter. I think the Eagles are going to be holding a lead. The Giants are going to have a chance to come back and tie or take the lead. Situation like that. I think Hassan Reddick going to step up and get a strip sack and seal the game. And I'll say Hassan Reddick gets a strip sack. BG recovers it. The moment,
all in
and puts the game away. So we'll put it on the defense late. But enough. They get the job done. They advance to the NFC Championship round, and then we'll see who they end up playing. But I do think it's a divisional battle. These teams know each other well. Again, I'm not going by what happened in Week 18, Week 14. It's a lot's on the line. It's going to be a tough game. But, the Eagles, with that crowd being absolutely electric. Oh, it's going to be amazing. All day, we talked about you're going to be in the 4th and John tailgate. You're going to be with the Eagle Mobile tailgate. Wherever you're going to be, man, it's going to be party all day long. I don't know what the weather's even supposed to be like. I don't think it's supposed to be terribly cold or any, precipitation, rain, anything like that. So, the fans are going to bring it. I'm just hoping for like a big Boston Scott kickoff return to start the game or just something to get the fans. The fans are going to be juiced. They're going to be waving the rally towels. You just want to have something to get the crowd going early in the game.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, Chris, hey, it was a pleasure having you on. We're going to stay on for a little bit longer, but hey, I'm about to let you go. Where could you find you at? And is there anything coming up for the Philadelphia Eagles website or whatever?
Well, the big thing, the playoff hype video is coming. Okay, that's
yes.
I'll post that.
That's gonna be dropping. That's gonna be coming in the next 24 hours. So I would definitely be on the look for that. That's the big thing, obviously. Make sure you download the Eagles app. That's where you can find all the work that I'm doing behind the scenes. And you got the socials there. You got the Eagles Twitter. I think most fans here are watching, are probably already following, but if not, that's where you can check us out. So definitely download the Eagles app. And like I said, the playoff, as I was leaving the NovaCare facility tonight, the final touches were being made on the playoff hype video. And
can't wait.
It's going to resonate.
Yes.
It's going to resonate. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And
Chris, it's been a pleasure, bro.
Definitely.
And I hope I see you this weekend. See you this weekend at the tailgate.
Sounds like a plan, guys. Guys, take care.
Go
Birds. Later.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Yo, King, man. Yo, what a treat, man. We had having Chris McPherson on, man. I mean, like, truly an honor to have him on. One of the best guests, like I told him before we started, that I ever had on this show. I mean, he's just very, very knowledgeable. He'll tell you the real truth, man. He's not going to sugarcoat anything. And definitely, I'm going to have him on some more later on throughout the offseason. But, man, look, we're going to give our keys to victory, man. How do you see this game going, man? And, we're just going, give me some keys to victory, man. Offense and defense. And, I mean, will the Philadelphia Eagles shock the world and lose? No, but go ahead. Nah, just give me your game prediction.
Why would you put that bad juju out in the air?
Nah,
bro?
Go ahead, man. Yeah, I'm messing with you. Go ahead.
No, but I really think that they do got to establish the run. They're going to do what I think they're going to do. They're going to sit up there and try to make Jalen Hurts beat them. I think that's what they're going to do because they're confident because they just shut down a passing attack on the Vikings. So they're confident in what they can do. They're going to try to make Jalen Hurts do that. You know what I'm saying? So you got to attack them, basically. It's going to be a game of – the second is basically the game of the offensive line or the line of scrimmage, I should say. Vice versa. Our offensive line versus their defensive line and vice versa. It's going to be that. That's going to be the game plan, man. You got to stop Dexter Lawrence. You got to stop Thibodeau. You got to stop these guys from getting to Jalen Hurts. That's the number one key, man. I'm huge on blocking for the quarterback so the quarterback can have enough time to do what they need to do. On the opposite side, man, you cannot allow Daniel Jones to get that much time to make a decision. He has to be quick to the point where we're there in his face before he can even get it to a Saquon Barkley in a passing game, or he could get it to a Hodgins, or he could get it to a Slayton. It gotta be quick, man, because if not, it's gonna be a tight game. I really think it's gonna be a tight game because it's the playoffs, the divisional round. We played what? 3 times. This would be the 3rd time or whatever like that. So Act 3. But yeah, I think that's just the keys. The keys is basically, getting to Daniel Jones, establishing a run early, not wait until the second half, and also beating the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. Christopher, do you think the Giants will attack Lane Johnson? Look, Lane Johnson is going to be going against, I believe, Thibodeau on the right side. So definitely he's going to be tested regardless. My question to Chris was, hey, would you start Driscoll And then if he starts struggling, you put Lane Johnson, try to keep him, healthy enough for the NFC Championship, game and the Super Bowl. Hey, look, Chris put it, simple as possible. This is the playoffs. There is no tomorrow. All your horses have to go. Your best horses have to be on the field, and Lane Johnson is one of our best, the best right tackle in the whole league. So definitely he's going to be tested. But I think that if I'm Nick Sirianni, if I'm Shane Steichen, I'm chipping over there. I'm putting a Jack Stahl over there or a Dallas Goedert to chip Thibodeau, at least kind of help him just a little bit, just to make sure that he don't try to, re-aggravate the groin. But it's definitely something that he's going to have to take care of during the offseason. But if y'all didn't see this nasty Giants video, man, look, hey, this thing to me is very funny because these clowns, the stinking little Giants, like, you got a guy, he's trying to keep them pumped up. First of all, if you're in Philadelphia, ain't nobody going to say, keep it going, guys. Let me hear it. Hell no. You know why? Because we don't need nobody to pump us up. We don't need nobody to say, keep it going. These frauds right here on my screen, I'm just mad I put them up again. Giving them some, just giving them some airtime. But I want to, take this in because when I see each one of them at the link on Saturday, I will be doing my interviews. Believe me, I will be bringing my stick, my camera, and I will be talking to some Giants fans on Saturday, and I'm going to find out the truth. How do they really feel about this upcoming matchup? And I guarantee you, not one of them is going to say F the Eagles like they had, like they were saying in Minnesota. They had to go all the way to Minnesota to start chanting F the Eagles. I've been to the link versus the Giants plenty of time. I've never heard them Giants fan talk this slick, but that's okay. That's okay. Judgment Day is coming on Saturday, and we're about to see.
Before you go, though, man, it's crazy because some of the players I've been watching the Giants interviews and things like that, and some of the players and coaches was basically saying they telling their families not to come. They telling their families not to come. They know what it is when they come here, man. Chris just wore the hoodie. I watched. Shout out to Philly Mike. He had Dave Spirito on. He had him on, and he had the same hoodie on. Man, I need one of those hoodies. It's a Philly thing, man. Like I said to everybody, especially on my channel, if you're subscribed, basically, I'm like 10, 15 minutes away from the stadium, so I know what it is to be a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Really close to the point where the Italians and everything like that down here. It gets really deep down here, man. It really does. And I think that the Eagles is going to come out and play for the team. That's what they're going to do. They're going to play for the team, and they're also going to play for the fans. They're going to play for the city, and that's what it's going to come down to. I really believe that it's still going to be a close game. Did you want me to give my score prediction now, or you want me to wait after you?
Go ahead.
So my score prediction is going to be 30-23. It's still going to be a close game, but I think the Eagles pull it out.
All right. And Joseph, yes, I am going to the game. I still don't have tickets, though. But my plan, like I said, is to go to the tailgate and purchase my ticket that day while I'm at Philly. Well, if it's $500, then I guess I'm going to have to suck it up and just I'm trying to be in there regardless. So,
okay.
Yeah.
You answered my question. Never mind. Because I was about to say, even if it was all the way up top, you'd be in the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have to be in the building. This will be my first playoff game. And like I said, my record versus the division when I am there, is almost perfect. Besides that one game. I'm not going to say who else was there with me. But, when I'm there.
I wasn't.
Other people, blemish. You know what I mean? Almost perfect. But anyway, hey, look. In order for the Eagles to beat the Giants for a third time, as a matter of fact, the Giants reporter, he said it on his channel, 15-8 when a team sweep the regular season, 15 out of 15-8, the teams are 15-8 the third time they play. So technically it's almost a 2-1. So we have the better team. It's going to come down to what Chris said, what King said, coaching. These games this past weekend was pathetic. Time management, like the Dolphins got ate up by time management. Baltimore Ravens, time management. A lot of these teams was time management. Is Nick Sirianni? Is this moment going to be too big for Nick Sirianni? You are home. You are the favorite. All right. You're not sneaking up on nobody. How is the game plan going to be? Are you going to run the ball? Are you going to come out trying to throw? I mean, are you going to get out of character and try to do something that you haven't been doing all season? Right. We were one of the top 5 rushing team for a reason. So I don't want Jalen Hurts. We had to try to protect our quarterback as much as we can. Yes, he's going to be running the ball still. I'm not saying water down the playbook at all. But don't have him drop back and try to throw 30, 40, 50 times, all right? That's not the recipe to beat the Giants. The Giants, their run defense are not that great. So use Miles Sanders. Use Boston Scott, the Giant killer. Use your A.J. Brown, Chris Green. Use Dallas Goedert. He was not in the matchup last time. He's in the matchup this time, So use Dallas Goedert. Who's going to cover Goddard? The Philadelphia Eagles have too many weapons. We are the better team. The Giants are not hot. I don't care what anybody say. You cannot be 2-4-1 and you be a fraudulent Minnesota Vikings team, and all of a sudden you're the hottest team in the NFL. Kick rocks. Get the hell out of here. All right. So I don't want to hear none of that crap. The Philadelphia Eagles are better overall, offense, defense, better quarterback. In my opinion, a better coach. I don't care. Last year, was probably a debate, but this year, a better coach, better defensive. I don't know about the defense coordinator, but we have a better players. All right, better players on the defensive side. So this game should be dominated by the Philadelphia Eagles. The first, I believe the first couple drives, the first couple series is going, dictate how this game is going to go. You know what I mean? If you go 3 and out, okay, well, you better stop the Giants, from going 3 and out. They need to go 3 and out, and now we get the ball back, and let's see how we move the ball. So definitely run the ball. The Giants have Sterling Shepard, Slayton, and not big play Slayton, and Hodgins. Those are their wide receivers against Chauncey Gardner, Bradbury, and Slay. I'll take that matchup any day of the week and twice on game day. There's no way that they should go up and down the field on us. We are not the Minnesota Vikings. I'm sorry. Our defense is better from top to bottom, and we should dominate it on both sides. And my score prediction is this. I see this game being like, 34, 17. I always go 17 because that's what the Philadelphia Eagles been giving up all season long pretty much. 34-17. We're going to control the ball. The Giants, look, they're going to come out, all hyped up and stuff like that. Just weather the storm, all right? Just weather the storm. We got 4 guys on the line of scrimmage that could get on the defensive line, that could get to the quarterback by them damn self. So you got to double team one. Pick your poison. Good luck with that. So 34-17. Let me see what you have to say in the chat. We don't need almost perfect. Coaching does matter. Coaching does really matter does. For real. Really. Flower power. Root run deep from last year. Yeah, you guys still going. Yeah, we about to be out of here, man. So and run the ball. So it's just simple as that. Run the ball 34-17. I will definitely be interviewing some Giants fans. I'm going to be respectful. Like this is fun for me, man. I'm not going to be no hostile, nothing like that. I'm going to just have a serious conversation with them. Where's your weakness at? How do y'all really feel about this matchup? Daniel Jones, blah, blah, blah. So please tune in to that on Saturday. You would not want to miss it. And tomorrow night, I will be live with Simone with the sports on both channels, just to talk the Philadelphia Eagles matchup, man. Giants, Eagles, and all that good stuff. So we about to head out of here, King. Where could they find you at and what you have going on?
Down below, King DV Sports on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram also at King DV Sports. Facebook, King DV Sports. That's my page. All three of those channels, you can find me there. I'm about to start ramping up a little bit more the Sixers. So I'm gonna be ramping them up if y'all Sixers fans. But I am really going to be touching base on the playoff drive of the Eagles, man. I just want them to be able to win and get to the championship. So once we get to the championship, then it's going to be more live play-by-plays, or even just joint videos. So that's stuff that I'm trying to plan. But that's all I got. That's all I got.
All right, so hey, like I said, tomorrow night, tune in 7 p.m. Me with Someone with Sports, and also Friday, I'm working on something with some Giants fans, and then of course on Saturday I will be live at the tailgate, to bring y'all some real live interviews, man. As always, man, please follow me on Twitter, JC Sports Talk 20, and as always, man, look, go Birds, and I'll see y'all pretty soon.